So here we have the frontage line as we talked about in the first video, and again what we would do, we would look on the drawing to establish the first corner of the building, and we would call that one peg A. Again, look on the drawing for the width or the length of the house on the frontage line, and whatever that was we would put in stake B. These are two fixed points, the two corners of the front of the house or the extension. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be searching for peg C and for peg D, whichever way round we're going to do that. And we're going to work on this one first actually, because this would just make a little bit more sense when we look back at the Pythagoras triangle. Okay, again this is what we looked at in the last video. So what we need to do here is, again this was established, we'll say when we looked on the drawing that this dimension here, we're going to say was 11 meters, if I can write it big enough so you can see that, 11 meters 420 is what we will say. And the dimension going out this way, we don't know exactly where it's going to go yet, but on the drawing this one is going to be 6 meters 750. So we have the two dimensions, and again with a long tape measure we would be able to establish this point very easily. Now we need two tape measures to do the 3, 4, 5 method. One tape measure is going to read this measurement, and the other one is going to be a measurement that we at the moment don't know, and that is the diagonal. So what we're going to do using the Pythagoras triangle, the 3, 4, 5 method, is establish a calculation that's going to give us that dimension. And once we've got that, we have one tape measure measuring this, and the other tape measure measuring the figure that we conclude, and where they both cross will be the point of the next stake and the next corner of the building. So if we just go back to the triangle, so we'll look at this, and what we'll say is that this is the long side of our building. So this is going to be side A. So we have 11.420, and that is this side here. Now if we just remind ourselves of the formula, we have a squared plus b squared. So it's this side here squared, and squared just means it's multiplied by itself. So this dimension here will be 11.42 multiplied by 11.42, and that would give us this box. And then we have this side here, or where we're going to go up here. That is, as we said, 6 meters 750. So looking at this side here would be 6 meters 750 multiplied, because we're squaring it, by itself, 6 meters 750, and that would give us the second box. So we'll do those calculations now while we've got that fresh in our minds. So side A, and we're going to do this side here, side B. So A is, and again I do apologise for this calculator, it's not as good as the phone that I had previously, but what we have is 11.42 multiplied by 11.42 equals, and we can see we have 130.416. We'll only go to 3 places past the decimal point on all of our calculations. So that underlined is the squared side of side A. So we're now going to square B, and that is 6 meters, just to remind ourselves on the drawing, 6 meters 750. So 6.750 multiplied by 6.750. Let's see what that gives us. Just cancel that. And again, let's get into focus. 6.75 multiplied by 6.75 equals 45.562. 562. Underline that as well. Now, just to remind ourselves of the Pythagoras formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So what we have, if we look at it in the way we're doing this side here, there, is that squared, because that's that side. And then we have this side here, side b, which is side b. We've just squared that figure. So this was 675, and we just multiply that, sorry, 6.75, and we've just multiplied that. Now, looking at the formula, we add them both together. So we have 45.562 plus 130.416, and that equals 175.978. So that figure is c squared, which is, if we turn this round again, that is the diagonal that we have got across here. Because what the figure we've got, we've just combined both of these to make this. Now, because we have the figure of all of this, we need just this figure. So we need the square root of that. So, quite simply, the figure that we have there, and if you have your calculator, once we're in focus again, we have the square root button there. If we just hit that, we can see that we have 13.265. 13.265. Now that is the square root of 175.978, and that is our diagonal. So what we would do, we would now, if we're on site, establishing this peg here, C, we would have one tape measure on here measuring our 6 meters 750, and then we would have another tape measure off here, because obviously these two are fixed points, and we would run that tape measure out, and when it was reading 13.265, where that measurement crossed that measurement at that point, that would be where you put the stake in, and that would guarantee a 90-degree angle there. And then obviously what we would do is we would repeat that, so we would have the same figures there. So we would have our 13.265, and we would have the 6.750 there, where they crossed, one tape measure there, one tape measure there. We would put that in, and that would establish that point. Just for a double check, because whenever you're setting out, you will always be measuring, remeasuring, getting somebody else to hold the other end of the tape to check what you've done as well, because it is very easy to make a few errors on here. But what we would have to do obviously is do a double check to make sure that this dimension here is replicated on the back, and if there are any sort of like minor adjustments that need doing, again you would go through all the calculations that you've done and just to find out exactly where the error was made. But normally this works out really accurately first time. Never really had too many problems when doing this. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll probably do another video just doing another example, just so we can get this clear in our mind. And then what we're going to do, we're going to move on to the second part of setting out, which is the leveling, transferring levels and using our sight level and our laser level to determine the trench bottoms and also drainage invert levels and things like that. So setting out video 3 or 4 will be the level work.